How's it going, Rogues Gallery? I think we might have a problem. I actually really enjoy the Palworld trading card game. Let's talk about it. I recently got back from Anime Expo where I got a hands-on demo for the Palworld OCG or the TCG. We're just gonna call it the TCG. Everyone's gonna call it the Palworld TCG. I got a hands-on demo. Afterwards, I hung out with one of my friends from a TCG Player, big shout out to Drew, and he and I just jammed a ton of games with the starter decks. And, well, I have formulated an opinion, and I genuinely really like this game. I think it's really good. Before we get started, before we get deeper into any of this, I want to give you my history and my background with Palworld, both as a game and as just something that I'm interested in. It's zero. I have never played Palworld. I have absolutely no connection to this at all. Unlike other games that I've covered on the channel like Gundam, something that I'm very passionate about, something that's very near and dear to my heart. I'm a huge fan of Gundam. I have no connection to Palworld at all. And so take this from that perspective. I've never played Palworld. I have no interest. I think the game is actually very good, mechanically speaking. I do have one of the demo decks. We're going to kind of go over it. I'm going to talk today with you how the game plays. I'll talk to you, why I think it's good, why I think it's a lot of fun, and I would love your feedback in particular, especially my regular viewers. Do you want me to continue to cover Palworld? I have a good relationship with Bushiroad. This is not, a surprising thing. I was a guest of Bushiroad the last 2 years at Anime Expo. This year I was there for Cygames. I was actually the MC for the Cygames special stage for Shadowverse Worlds Beyond. But I have a great relationship with Bushiroad, and well, a little bit of a spoiler, I'm going to be getting some stuff from them to check out. We got some starter deck openings. We got a booster box opening in the works. So we'll have those videos coming down the pipeline. But today we're going to talk all about the Palworld trading card game and all of my opinions on it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into a top-down and start diving into the Palworld TCG. Think of this as my initial review of the game after playing like a dozen games or so across the starter decks and the demo decks, and I have a lot to talk about. So let's get started. All right, let's start talking about the Palworld trading card game, or once again, the OCG, the original card game. This is the thing that I've been wanting to talk about most after Anime Expo. It's the most surprising thing there that I played. I had demos for Cyberpunk, which I love, but I already knew that I loved that game. I checked out Grand Archive, which once again I already know that I love. I'm a part of the Creators Guild for Grand Archive. Absolutely fantastic game. But Palworld was kind of like the big question, right? Is it going to be a good game? How are they going to make it? All this kind of stuff that goes into it. And it turns out, like I said, I genuinely really like this game. And it's kind of going to be a weird one for me because I don't even play Pokemon. I don't partake in any of this like aesthetic at all. This is kind of the aesthetic of the channel. This is one of our custom playmats. We do mostly anime TCGs. I'm a big fan of mecha, and you'll see stuff like that. I mean, obviously, like I mentioned, Cyberpunk. So this is not what I typically do, which that kind of compounds as to why it's so surprising to me. But it's a good game, and I definitely want to play a lot more of it. So let's talk about it. So this is the demo deck. It came in this. It has like a playmat here. I guess I could show you the playmat real quick, but we're not gonna really use the playmat. You don't need a playmat. There's not like any zones or anything that you really have to pay attention to for Palworld. You do need a life tracker card. They have it here, and you also need like a resource tracker card because you generate resources from some of your like Pal's effects, and then they use the resources. So like maybe you'll have a card that's like, I generate 3 wood, and you have another card that's like, I use 2 wood to do a thing. So you'll need like a little tracker to keep track of like your resources as well. You can kind of see, well, first of all, you can scan that QR code if you actually want more information. But here is the breakdown of how the game plays. It's super simple. If you played a lot of other card games before, you'll pick this up really quickly. If you played anything like Magic, Duel Masters, Gundam, so Gundam's a huge game here on the channel. It's the biggest thing that I cover. This plays similarly to Gundam. This plays also similarly to Shadowverse, which Gundam basically took all of its mechanics from Shadowverse. Plays very similarly to Shadowverse as well. And there's a little bit of like Weiss Schwarz mixed in as well. There's like triggers mixed into the decks. Very, very Bushiroad stuff. You can think of like heal triggers from Vanguard, or I can't remember what it's called in Weiss Schwarz, but the heals or the blocks, the damage blocks in Weiss Schwarz. So here, let's go ahead and just showcase the cards. Here, this is all laid out, but I think it's a little bit easier if I just kind of like talk to you about the cards and showcase them as we go. So here is the demo deck. Here are the 2 promos that I got. This is a soul. This is your resource in Palworld. Now, your resources are in a completely separate deck of 10 cards. You have 10 soul. Well, like I said, it's going to sound really similar to games like Gundam and One Piece and a lot of that. Riftbound. It might even be closer to Riftbound because you actually get 2 soul per turn, with the exception being that the second player starts with 1 in play. So from the first turn, they'll have access to 3, and then they'll go up to 5, and then 7, and then 9, and then finally the full 10. What's also really interesting about the soul is that once per turn, you can rest 3 of them to draw a card, which is this really, really cool and interesting mechanic. So if you're like, don't have a lot of gas in your hand, it's a late game, you can essentially draw like 2 cards per turn, your normal 1 draw, and then you can rest 3 of your souls to draw an additional card. I think it's really sweet. I also really like that you get 2 of these per turn. It makes the game much more snappy. The demo decks were like, they felt pretty strong, but the starter decks actually felt quite good for starter decks. It didn't feel slow or grindy at all. Games felt quite fast, and I can imagine that actually constructed decks are going to feel even faster. And something that helps with that is the fact that you get 2 soul per turn, not just like the 1 slow drip. The game feels a lot snappier and a lot more, I don't want to say interactive, but it does feel like that you're kind of like churning through the turns, and things feel pretty strong, which I genuinely like. And obviously you can see that they're going to do like some sort of alternate art stuff as well for the souls, which is pretty cool. So let's go over the main types of cards. So let's talk about the pals first. Here's just kind of like the Lamball, the Bushiroad Expo promo, but let's just showcase like a very basic one here. So this is the Cativa. By the way, if I pronounce these wrong, I like I said, I have no connection to Palworld at all, so I apologize. But we have this guy, this little pink cat thing, Cativa. They have 200 power here, but the damage that they do to the opponent is this number here. So this is basically their attack and defense, all kind of rolled up into a single number. Then they also have an effect. This one just says Auto Sirius 400, which says on assign, and you can assign a PAL to like a location. We'll talk about locations. On assign, choose a PAL. It gets plus 400 power until the end of turn. So this is one of the dudes that you can assign him to stuff and he pumps up things. And he also has a bunch of types here. These are only referenced by other cards, and I honestly haven't seen any cards that do that quite yet. But he's like a normal PAL that does crafting and harvesting and collecting and transporting. Sure, I assume that's very flavorful stuff for Palworld. Now the way combat works in Palworld, and we'll get this Lamball to show you the difference, because we have this promo Lamball that actually has an effect. I will say, by the way, this Lamball is the one that's actually in the starter decks. It doesn't have this Bushiroad stamp, but it has the effect and the power. This one, the one on the demo deck, is a little bit different. So I'm actually not sure about the legality of the demo deck cards. They might not be legal for like actual competitive Palworld play. So just keep that in mind. But this is still be a good way to show you how things work in Palworld. So we'll have the Cativa and the Lamball. And say you get in combat with the Lamball versus the Cativa. So basically the way it works is you just, they basically deal damage to each other equal to the number, right? So the Cativa will hit the Lamball for 200, and the Lamball will hit the Cativa for 300. The Cativa will then die, and the Lamball will have 200 damage marked on it for the remainder of the turn. Damage is persistent throughout the turn, but it heals at the end of turn. Just like Magic. It's exactly like Magic, except that the power and toughness is just in one number rather than split between 2 numbers like Magic the Gathering. So like if you did 200 to the land ball, if you did an additional 100 to it later in the turn, then it would die. So pretty simple, actually. The way that combat works is also fairly simple. I'll talk about combat really quickly. So let's say I have this land ball and my opponent has this Cativa. I attack. And so I can choose to either attack my opponent directly, or I can choose to attack any of their rested guys. Once again, just like Shadowverse, just like Gundam, and a ton of other games. And so I can choose to attack their dude that's tapped or rested, or I can attack their face directly. Now, unlike a lot of those Bandai games, and like Magic, your opponent can choose to block if they have untapped or an awake, I'm not sure the exact terminology. If they have an awake pal, they can choose to block, just like Magic the Gathering. From what I've gathered so far, it's only one blocker. You can't do like multiple blockers, but you don't need a keyword to block, you know, unlike Gundam or Shadowverse or you know, One Piece, whatever. And in order to block, you have to rest. So you'll rest the dude, and then you'll block, and then combat damage will happen, as I say. There is also a keyword in the game that is basically like taunt. I can't remember, it might just be called taunt or ward. I think it might just be called taunt, where if the POW can be attacked, it must be attacked. It is literally the exact same as like taunt in Hearthstone or ward in Shadowverse Worlds Beyond, the digital game. So if this one has that keyword, then I will not be able to attack this. I would not be able to attack their opponent's face. I have to attack this thing first. So keep that in mind. But also keep in mind that any of the other untapped dudes can block, right? So yeah, that's combat. It's really simple. If you've played card games before, you'll pick it up immediately. It's very intuitive. All right, let's showcase some of the other card types in Palworld. Here's a little chicken. Oh, you know, one other thing I'll say, the damage. So the damage only applies to when you hit your opponent, right? So let's say I'm attacking, they have no blocks, the opponent takes 1 damage. Now, the way that damage works is your opponent starts at 10, and you try to take them down to 0. You can go higher than 10, like you can heal above 10, but you start at 10, and try to take them down to 0. This number down here is how much damage you do to your opponent specifically. Now, there is like I said, there is like a heal trigger style mechanic. It's closer to a Weiss Schwarz, but I don't remember what it's called in Weiss Schwarz. Like the damage block or the prevention or the cancel or whatever. These cards with this symbol up top, and also it says Lucky Pals. So you have Lucky Pals. You can only have 8 of them in your deck. Only 8 Lucky Pals total in your deck, and playsets for cards are 4. So you can have, you know, any combination of Lucky Pals up to playsets of 4 up to 8. And playsets are true for all the cards, so you can only have 4 of any given card in the deck. Anyway, so the way these work is, say I am attacking my opponent and they don't have any blocks, and I hit them for 1 damage. Before they take the 1 damage, they take the top card of their deck and they put it into their discard pile. If it is a lucky POW, then all of the damage is canceled. So if this was hitting them for 4, all 4 of the damage would be canceled. So that's really important to note. There's 8 cards, 8 lucky cards in the deck, so this does have that kind of like very Bushiroad style, life trigger or heal trigger, as I mentioned. So that's a really important part of the game. If this wasn't, then your opponent would take the 1 damage. And like I said, they have 10 life, and so they take 1 damage. Their deck is not their life. This is just kind of like to see if you got the trigger or not. If they run out of cards, though, it is game over. It is one of those games that if they run out of cards, it is game over. So yeah, that is something that's very important. And once again, you can have 8 Lucky Pals in your deck. And I found that all the Lucky Pals so far tend to be really high cost and powerful pals. Let's see, what else? Oh, another thing. There is no summoning sickness in this game. You can attack immediately with your pals when you play them. Your opponent can also obviously block immediately with their pals. So it's kind of like a little bit of give and take there. Do you want to attack? Do you want to block? You know, that kind of stuff. But the game is fairly aggressive. You can, like I said, slam your pals and attack immediately the turn they come into play. Some pals will also have this really, really powerful effect here. So you can see this little thing that says quick here. that means you can play it at quick timing. The quick timing is the same as Gundam and Shadowverse. So when you declare an attack, there is a window for quick timing. That is the only time there is a window for quick timing, I believe. I'm not sure if you can do quick timing at end of turn like Shadowverse. I'm pretty sure it's only on attack you have quick timing, and your opponent has a chance to respond to your quick timing. So keep that in mind. That's when quick timing is. It's not like Magic, whenever you have priority. It's literally only on an attack. Now, this card has quick timing. The official cards and trial decks, this symbol's a little bit different. Like I said, I think they've changed some stuff since these demo decks into the official release. So the quick timing here is a little bit different on the actual cards. It's kind of like a swoop that goes around the number a little bit more. But anyway, that basically denotes that this PAL can be used at quick timing. So what does it do? This one says act, interrupt, from hand, quick speed. You can pay 1 and discard this card. So, pay one of your, tap 1 soul, pay 1 soul. Discard this card, or, so pay 1 and discard this card, or discard this card and another card from hand. So you can do this effect by either paying 1 and discarding just this card, or you can discard this plus any other card to do the effect. Now, what does the effect do? You nullify your opponent's attack. Battle damage does not occur. Now, this is another huge important part of this game. We found that, games can really come down to if your opponent has the nullifies in their hand. It is kind of like a card, what's the right word for it? Disadvantageous in terms of like card equity, right? Because you're basically discarding 2 cards just to prevent an attack, or you're paying 1 and discarding a card to prevent an attack. But it's still really, really good. And I do want to mention on attack triggers. So like some pals will say, attack, I do a thing. Those will still happen. And I confirm this with the folks at Bushiroad. Those will still happen. That's really important to know because it makes it sound like they don't happen. It says nullify the opponent's attack. That just nullifies the damage. It does not nullify the on attack effect. That's extremely important. Like it will matter 100% in just in the starter decks, because the starter decks, they have pals that have really strong on attack effects. So yeah, these quick discard nullify things are really powerful. We found that both of the starter decks come with a bunch of these. So I want to say like they come with maybe 2, like there's 2 different cards in each of them that do this effect. So it feels like this is going to be something that's, every color will have access to. Let's see. Here's just another like normal PAL. You can see the damage is 2 here. The highest damage we've seen is 4. So it's still a lot though. When you start at 10 health and you can hit him for 4, I'd like an attack immediately. 4 is a lot. But then you want to save your cancels for that, or maybe hope you get lucky with a lucky PAL. Some of them will just have on enter effects. This was auto on deploy, draw 2 cards. Self-explanatory. On deploy, when you play it, you draw 2 cards. Sometimes you can deploy from graveyard or you can deploy from other zones, but it'll still trigger the on deploy effects. So keep that in mind. There are some cards that are like, oh, deploy a PAL from your graveyard. Well, you'll still get the on deploy effect. This is just a big 1000 beater that does 2 damage. This one says on deploy, choose a PAL and rest it. Yeah, very simple, common effects. This one does 3 damage to your opponent. Relaxaurus. I like this guy. He's chill. Once again, play set of a card is 4 in the game. Here is the Jormuntide Ignis. It's an 8 cost 1300, 4 damage. Once again, 4 is the highest we've seen. And this guy's got a really strong effect here. It says, act once per turn, you can discard a card from your hand to stand this card. So that basically means you untap it. So this guy can actually hit twice. And if your opponent doesn't have any blockers, this dude can do 8 damage to your opponent's face. So he's quite strong. He can like end the game just from this like demo deck card, which is cool. Once again, I don't know if these demo deck cards are legal for play. We'll have to wait and see, but it does say not for sale here, so we'll see. It doesn't say we can't play with it anywhere though, but... Alright, let's talk about the other types of cards. Most of your cards are going to be PALs. There's 2 other types of cards, 3 other types of cards. There are structures. So structures, just, you play them and then they just sit and play and they do a thing. They also have health, so your opponent can attack them, but they don't deal damage back. So you just need to deal 600 damage in a turn to kill the primitive furnace here. And they just have an effect here. So it costs 1 to play, and then effect is Continuous, reduce the cost of all gears in your hand by 2, but it cannot become 0 or less. And then also act, once per turn, you can assign a pal to draw a card. And how you assign a pal is you have to have an untapped, or you have to ready pal, untapped pal, and then you exhaust them, you use them, you tap them, and then you assign them to the structure. You have to like put it on them, and then you do the effect. So this one you would get to draw a card. So you'd be like, okay, I'm going to assign my land ball to this, and then I'll draw the card. At the beginning of your turn, when everything like readies and untaps, they are no longer assigned, so you can do that again on a future turn. It's really simple, once again. There are some really powerful structures that we've seen that can do like damage. There's some pretty good ones out there. And I want to mention that I believe you can only have 5 pals on your field at any time, but you can have as many structures and gear as you want. So only 5 pals, just like Shadowverse, you have the 5 unit limit. But for Palworld, same thing, but you can have as many structures as you want, so they don't count towards your pals. Here we have mounted machine gun. Look at this. Look at these guys, man. This game is ridiculous. So this one has act once per turn. You can assign a pal. So we can assign a pal to this. And when you do, you choose up to 2 pals and you deal 700 damage to each of them. Really strong effect, right? You're gonna blast 2 pals for 700 damage. Once again, damage is persistent through the turn, but it heals up at the end of your turn. Here we have a single shot rifle. This card is much better in the starter decks. So it's a 4-cost gear. So the way that gear works is you pay the cost, you play the gear, and then it just kind of sits there until you do the thing on it. So this one says, act on deploy, choose a pal, and deal 1,000 damage. In the actual version of this card, it'll do 1,500, I believe. And this one also says, act, rest this card, choose a pal, and it gets plus 200 power until end of turn. And so the way that works is very similar to how it works on the structures. So you have your land ball, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna use the rifle to pump the pal. You kind of like set it on them for the turn, and then they have the ability, like the 200 power. And then at the start of your turn, when you like untap everything, it goes off, and then you can choose to put it on again. So yeah, that's gear, and that's what this card was reducing. It was reducing the cost to play the gear, which is pretty good actually, I think. So we got some rifles. Yeah, it's Palworld. They've got rifles. We also have this pump action shotgun. This one is a 4-cost auto on deploy. Choose all of your opponent's pals and deal 800 damage to all of them. Pretty strong. And then you can rest this to give a pal plus 200 until end of turn. And then the final type of card is an event card, and it's literally just like a spell or a command or anything like that. It's a one-shot effect. This one costs 1 to play. This one also has quick, so you can do that during the quick timing. Once again, you can do quick timing when your opponent attacks with something, or when you attack with something as well. And it says, choose a pal, it gets plus 300 power until end of turn. So this is just a nice little combat trick. There's also events that do damage or draw you cards. They're literally just spells that you would play in any other TCG. And those are the basic types of cards, right? You just have your structures, your pals, your gears, and your events. Mostly it's just gonna be pals, and then you have your structures that kind of sit around and whatnot. And overall, the game is just extremely fun. The fact that you can attack with pals immediately, the fact that any pal can block, the fact that you have a bunch of ways to cancel life, like to cancel damage, helps mitigate the fact that the game is really fast, right? I think they needed these kind of mechanics so aggro just didn't steamroll, everyone, right? Because you can just attack immediately, so you have multiple ways to deal with it. You either can just get lucky by getting your lucky pal hits off the top to cancel the damage, or you can cancel the damage manually by doing like any of the discard pals, the force of pals is what I've been calling them. They're like force of will from Magic, man. It's force of pals, man. I'm making that a thing. If I'm covering Palworld a lot, I'm calling it force of pals. No one's gonna pick up on that, but whatever. I am calling it force of pals. And so yeah, I mean that's the way Palworld works. Let's just kind of like, I'll just show you like quickly. We'll just slap some cards. And let's say, sure, let's just say this is our opener hand, right? You do have a mulligan. I think it's a full mulligan. You full mull, shuffle, and then redraw. So you get 1 mulligan. And the way that the resources work, because I didn't really go over this exactly, is that the second player, they just start with 1 in play. They just start with 1 in play. So if I was going second and my opponent was going first, I would start with this 1 in play. And then on my turn, I would draw and then get 2 more. So my first turn as second player, I would start with 3. So that's actually really important to keep in mind when like building your decks, being like, okay, first turn isn't just 1 drops. First turn is either 2 drops if you're going first or 3 drops if you're going second. So you can play something like this Pengolet. Probably wouldn't, because this is one of the Force of Pals that you can cancel with. So you'd likely do something along the lines of playing like this Furnace, and then maybe playing this little Chungus out on your turn. If you are going first, you do not draw a card, but you still get your 2 souls on your first turn. So you could still play, like, let's pretend we have this 2-drop in hand. We could still play this on first turn as the first player. And as the first player, we can still attack. Like, there is no rule against not attacking on first turn, so we can still attack on first turn because, like I said, all pals can just attack immediately. So keep that in mind. It's also very important. And so overall, what my big takeaway from this is that the game is pretty balanced because of the fact that you can just play stuff, you can attack immediately, but anything can block. You have multiple ways to cancel damage from like the Force of Pal cards as well as the Lucky Pals. I do like how they're limited, only 8 Lucky Pals per deck. I don't think there's any limit to these guys, but you can really run out of your hand quickly if you rely too much on these. So I'll be interested to see how this kind of shakes out in terms of like competitive play. But it does feel really good, like just to play. The game is fast. The fact that you get 2 resources per turn means that, you know, you cap out on resources only after like, 5 or 6 turns or so. And the fact that you can also, I mentioned this at the start, but I want to mention this again. If you have nothing else to play, right? If you have nothing else to play, or if you just want to see what you draw, you can always, on your turn, once per turn, pay 3 soul to draw a card. That's also really important. And so the fact that you get 2 per turn, the fact that you can pay 3 to draw a card, and the fact that everything that can attack immediately, you got the block stuff. Once again, I'm just going in circles, but I found this to be extremely enjoyable. And so I really like the Palworld TCG, man. It's really good. It might be my favorite Bushiroad game after Shadow vs. Evolve. Shadow vs. Evolve I think is still my favorite, but man, the Palworld's really good. I have no connection to any of this stuff. I don't know any of these characters. I'm not even a big fan of this kind of like, cutesy monster vibe. I think they're fine. I mean, I loved Pokemon growing up as a kid, and I do think these designs are like, look at this stupid little guy. Look at this little Chickapee. But man, I enjoyed this way more than I thought. So please let me know what you think about all this stuff in the comment section down below. I do have some more Palworld videos planned. Like I said, we're going to be doing a booster box opening as well as some starter deck openings and review of the starter deck specifically. I do have opinions on the starter decks. I think one of them is a little bit stronger than the other, but we'll talk about that when the time comes. And let me know if you just want me to do more Palworld TCG stuff. I unironically really like the game, and I think the art style is cute. I mean, I think the art's good. It's like well done, and so like, yeah, I kind of really dig it. And it's really bad for me because I do not need another game to play. I've played so many TCGs already, and I did not expect to like Palworld as much as I do. So I guess, yeah, I don't know, man. Like it's a weird position to be in. But I'd be very keen to do more, maybe some gameplay videos or something. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think of Palworld so far. Are you a big fan of Palworld? If so, I'm probably going to check it out. Like, I like this game enough, and I looked up Palworld, and it's only like 30 bucks. I think I'm just going to buy it and play it a little bit just to kind of get more of what this is all about. So we'll see. We'll see. I know it's like a survival game with like, little monster catching type stuff. But yeah, once again, very curious to know what all y'all think and if I should cover this. It'd be a huge departure from what I normally do on the channel. Like I normally do, once again, like mecha, sci-fi, all anime themed stuff. This is still kind of anime themed, but you know. And hey, I'm a big fan of Bushiroad. I've been working with Bushiroad for many years at this point. I've done basically sponsored content about all of their games, and I just like Bushiroad. It's not that far of a pitch for me to go to another Bushiroad or to play another Bushiroad game. So I think they make some genuinely good games. I loved Godzilla. A lot of people don't share this sentiment, but I actually genuinely love Godzilla, the card game. So anyway, enough rambling. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time, bro. Palworld, man. I think Palworld would be so good. All right, later, everyone.